off my shoes. I got too comfortable.
Lauren, you want to let him know to start then?
We are on, yep.
Call to order the tree board for June 21st, 2022. I'm Dallas Pearson, stand-in for Nick Cantola. First order of business is call to order. And that's done. Roll call.
So I failed to bring the roster.
Should we just say our names?
Mark Sangstetter, not here. Glenn Giacoletto.
Here.
Kat Streifel.
Here.
Dallas Pearson.
Present.
Mike Storella.
Here.
Dan Karwoski.
Present.
Nick Cantola is not here. So we do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. The next order is a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Council update.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. So first things first is it's nice to be back. Second is that I apologize, and I'm going to have to leave for another commitment shortly after I get done here. And then let me just talk about a couple of things going on. First off, I think the Arbor Day tree giveaway that was held was a tremendous success. That style of operations with the pre-reservations and the people driving through, and as crappy of a day as it was, people came, and liked it. So then kudos to Lauren, you and your staff, the whole Public Works group. Marvelous deal. Master gardeners, my gosh.
Yep,
so thank you.
all the volunteers.
Yep, thank you. From a council point of view, we are about to kick into the planning process for the 23 budget. So this is a not quite a year-long deal, but it sure seems like it takes a long time. And we're grappling, the costs that you're well aware of, just for materials and for consumables are continuing to go up. So we're grappling with how to be reasonable about the eventual budget that we get to approve. I want to say that Summerfest, you guys all know this, Summerfest is coming up here. We are thrilled as a council that we can have it again, and it's going to be just a ball of fun. This is for Friday and Saturday for the viewers, the 24th and 25th. And man, I'm just looking forward to it. Again, tremendous amount of work done by a large number of volunteers, and then the police and the fire and some of the other guys and gals that participate sure make it all worthwhile. My final note was just about filing. So we have elections coming up this November, and I'm not rerunning for mayor, and so I'm going to invite any of you to consider that. I also want you to be talking amongst your friends and colleagues, not only for the mayor spot, but the councilor spot. Those filings close August 6th, I believe. And then I'll stand for questions.
Thank you, Mayor. Any questions for the mayor?
Well, as long as we're on TV, any reconsidering on the mayor filing for you?
That's a kind of a backhanded compliment, which is really, really appreciated. And the 6 years serving as mayor has been phenomenal. And the progress that I continued, or I and the council and really the staff continued over those 6 years, unbelievable. So just think about some of the projects, project-based. So Willowbrook, the Hadley Bridge, the BRT that's going to be coming. My gosh, we have done well. I'll say that the number of trees that are in Oakdale right now are more than we had when I first started. Another accolade to, especially to you guys. And then really it was 12 years before that too, council. And so 18 years is a good amount of time to be able to serve, to participate, to learn a ton, and to hopefully add to the positiveness of the community. And no reconsideration.
Anyhow, you've done a great job.
See, and then I'm learning how to be a politician, because I could have just said no, but no, I had to ramble.
Done a great job as mayor and our years together on council. So.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your service.
You're welcome. It was a ball. Which is, so, be thinking about who you want to see up here or sitting in the seat during council meetings. Possibly yourselves or your friends or people that you admire in the businesses or however it goes. Anything else?
I would just add, Mayor, thank you for all your support. Much appreciated on the public works end. You've been very supportive all along, and staff in general. You've done great for us, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Very good. I'm going to sit for a little bit, and then I'm just going to sneak out the sideways and then take care.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from our regular meeting of March 15th, 2022. Anyone have any comments or updates to the minutes?
Yeah, I have a couple of things. I hope I'm not being terribly nitpicky, but I think it's the engineer in me. I was looking at page 2 and 3 in regard to the tree preservation ordinance, and again, this is more nomenclature, semantic stuff. I just wanted to maybe clarify. First of all, with the section numbers and such, it says 22.3, 22.4, sort of such. And, you know, I'm going by what it shows on the Oakdale website for the ordinances. And they're supposed to be like the last one on page 3, where it shows 22 dash, then 06. So the other ones, my understanding then should be, and what they do show on the website is 22-04 and 22-03. The other thing I was wondering about, and maybe Stan, you might know more about this than I do, but then it says like, for instance, 22.4, Article 6. And I was looking at the thing, and from my understanding, articles are the subsets of chapters, and they have the Roman numerals. I don't know that things that underneath the section where it's just lists of numbers of the numbered paragraphs, if those are also called articles or if they're just numbers.
I couldn't fairly make an opinion on that.
Okay. Anyway, so that just, because there was something that already is in there that is an article, and these are just kind of numbers of paragraphs underneath these sections. And the one I did really want to bring up, though, is on page 3, 22.4, Article 6. That verbiage, that particular one, is actually Article 7, or number 7. 6 says something else. And so I just wanted to bring that up, that actually the verbiage for that is number 7 rather than 6.
Okay, so if you like, we can approve it as amended, and I will take care of those corrections, or you can hold it over and we can do it next time too, so.
That's fine. These are pretty minor.
I believe it's appropriate for you to take those and make the corrections, and we vote as corrected.
Yep.
Any other comments? Do I have a motion to accept as corrected?
Second.
I need the motion first.
Okay, so moved.
Second?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Next order is open forum for anybody in the audience who wishes to come forward to speak to an item that is not on the agenda. I'll say it again. Anyone in the audience wish to come forward for open forum to speak now? Thank you. Seeing none, I move on to the next item, which is old business. The spring planting 2022, the Jane Klein Memorial. Lauren, do you have a report for that?
I just wanted to get a discussion going on the good, the bad, and any improvements over the spring planting. As most of you know, I wasn't able to attend. I was picking up my daughter from college. I think I had it fairly well organized. There was a few snags that happened during the day, but overall, everything I heard was pretty good. We didn't get all our plants. We do have the plants now, but we're too busy getting ready for Summerfest. Next week, I'm hoping to start planting the rest of the plants. But yeah, good, bad, and improvements is what I'd like to hear.
Any comments? I wasn't present either, so I can't really comment.
Was this the first time that we moved from the hot dogs and such to sandwiches?
Yes.
Okay.
I found that very successful, minus the glitches.
And it wasn't really any difference in cost. It was about the same cost, so.
I think the kids were happy with the sandwiches
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Yes, it was certainly a lot simpler for staff, right?
Right.
Yeah, a few comments. Well, Mike and Kathy kind of organized that lunch, so they were great. Staff was great as far as the prep or anything we needed, city staff. Master gardeners were superb, you know, they must have had, I would say about 8. And the students were awesome. We had, I don't know, 50, 60 students, 40,
38 maybe?
38, but they worked as hard for 60. They actually worked pretty hard though. I mean, I dug a fair amount of holes, but there were a lot of students digging holes. They learned a lot from the master gardeners, and I think it was a nice volunteer project. I think people will enjoy it for years to come. And Lauren, appreciate you and your staff though, it's a lot of prep work and then work after the fact of the wood chips and things, so.
And I will just add, we had 2 volunteer groups, National Honor Society from both Tartan and North High. So, and I'm gonna try that again now with the Fall Buckthorn removal and next year's volunteer events as well, so.
Extend our thanks to the 2 student groups then. Thanks, Lauren.
Yep.
Is there any way that they could inform us when they give us a number if some of the kids are not coming?
Possibly. So the way their sign up worked was, and part of the problem was that I wasn't here. They have a Google Doc sign up form that I am able to monitor as well. And if I would have been here at the last minute, I could have monitored if anybody took their name off the list. I thought I had that set up to be handled, but it wasn't. So.
Would you have been able to change the order at that point?
Well, no, still, so.
So it doesn't really matter.
Right.
Anything further on that item? Seeing none, move on to the next item, B, Arbor Day 2022, the water bags.
So yeah, at our last meeting, it was determined that we should just drop the water bag issue for now. I'm still planning, when City Hall calms down a little bit, I'm still planning on bringing it up to see if we can buy water bags and have people order them with a credit card when they sign up for the trees. And then I think we'll use that again to get more people to the Master Gardener's table, like we use the seedlings. You get a free seedling if you stop at the Master Gardener's table. We'll have the Master Gardener table hand out the tree bag there, and they'll have a list who bought the tree bags, and at the check-in table, we'll tell them, if you ordered a tree bag, you got to stop at the Master Gardener table to pick it up. So I'm still planning on trying to make that tree bag thing work. I just haven't got City Council or City Hall aware of it yet. Well, some people are aware of it, but it hasn't made any progress yet, so I'm still working on it.
Thank you. Any comments, questions?
My comment is more on and I don't see a way of resolving it, is partly because of the inclement weather. But, you know, when the vehicles started backing up, they would suddenly create a second lane. And so, of course, that endangered the people who were trying to get the names because, you know, you're trying to dodge the vehicles going into the second lane. So, but I don't know how you can alleviate that just because, you know, sometimes you have one car there and next time you might have 7 or 8 and they get impatient and want to create a second lane. So I don't know if we just mandatory have a second lane or how we would, but I guess that's something for, you know, see if you can figure out something that might make that a little smoother.
And so the guy at the front entrance there, he was, when it started backing up, he was telling people to form a second lane. So we can stop that. I don't know if it'll entirely work, but, but the backup could be an issue if they start backing up
Well,
too far.
part of the problem was we had to go to get the name back under the tent, and of course it was raining half the time.
Right.
So, you know, so I don't know if the one in the second lane has a separate list and they can just cross that out and then at the end compare who came through lane 2 and who came through lane 1. I'm
If
not
you do
sure.
have 2 lanes, then maybe 2 tenths so that you don't have to cross traffic.
Right, yeah. Just more my comment. It was just sometimes it was like, you know, weaving in and out of the cars there.
The other thing I was thinking of is, of course, it was such lousy weather, but if the list could be just alphabetical instead of by time.
Anyone else?
I did think things went quite well, and as far as the second lane, I think it had to be done to avoid backup on 15th. I mean, I think that could have been a bigger problem, especially with the weather being not so good. So I thought for how it went, it still was okay. It still went fine.
We definitely had more cars show up not in their time slot, and I don't know if that was because of the weather, maybe, I don't know, but I know city council liked that squashed time frame better, so we're probably gonna have to try that again. But I think we can certainly set up 2 tenths so that it gets a little confusing having 2 lists going if somebody comes back through and enters the second drive lane knowing that, well, I'm not going to be checked off on their list.
But you know what our relative percentage of no-shows were?
It was higher than normal. I counted, but I don't recall what it was, but I think there was like roughly 25 trees that weren't picked up.
Okay, because we did have people come by then toward the end who had come before, and if there was any extra trees, and so some people did come back again to get some of the leftover ones.
And then when it was all said and done after that, I think there was about 16 trees that were left. So.
Lauren, if I could make one suggestion based on what they were talking about, one thing that might help is I believe you guys have walkie-talkies or communication equipment.
We do, but we didn't have them that day.
If you had it for that, you could manage the 2 lines with 2 people out getting the names, 1 person managing the list.
And I actually have self-contained headphones that are voice activated that you don't even need to touch a mic to talk through. But they're noise deadening because they're for heavy equipment, so you can't hear your neighbor talk.
Just a suggestion for you to think about for the next time.
Yeah.
That way you could have one guy in the tent checking names off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Any further comments on item B?
Sure. One comment is yes, the council did like it to be a little bit more constricted or compressed like it was this year, and we'll always take your opinions and your practicalities of, now here's a better way to do it. So we'll always take that in mind. So I encourage you to always say, hey, here's a better way.
Okay.
So don't hesitate. Now I got to leave. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Let's have better weather.
Alice?
And if you can answer that one positively, I've got a number of other issues for him to deal with.
Alice? Yep. Just a couple comments. I like the idea of the alphabetical, if that helps streamline, not that people would rigidly hold to that, but at least they'd be kind of coming in A, B, C. Maybe the next year you reverse it, but I like that if that helps. But also maybe more importantly is there's a lot of simple programs where, let's say, if there were 2 lines and the people checking in had a laptop, and if you check off a name, it gets updated, and then the person in the other line on their computer, that name's been checked off. I don't know what that software is. It's pretty common. It automatically saves each time. So you could both have a list you could be checking off, but as soon as you check off on that other line on that laptop, that name kind of disappears or gets checked off. If you're worried about duplicate trees being given out, because it was in past years, sometimes you'd have like somebody didn't get a tree. This is going back a lot of years. So that was at the consequence of somebody maybe getting 2 and somebody would not get a tree. But lastly, Lauren, do you still have, we always had a place to plant the trees if there were leftovers. So there was really no shame. You beautified the city by finding places on parks and stuff for the trees. Did you relocate the extra trees?
Yep, everything is planted already. And to that point, and I always order 10 extra trees of each thing we give away as part of my reforestation plan. And so if somebody who signed up for a tree actually, if somebody got 2 trees and somebody didn't get a tree because of that, I am prepared to give them a tree, so.
When I said alphabetical, I meant just for the list.
It's still a good idea.
And we did have an alphabetical list there. I had them in 2 formats just in case people didn't show up in their time slot. It would be easy to find them, so. And it just so happens that a lot of people didn't show up in their time slot this year.
I mean, prior year, were people a little better about coming in their time slots?
They
So
were,
maybe the
yeah.
weather
There
had
was
a lot.
there was a handful that weren't in their time slots, but it wasn't like this year.
Oh, I mean, maybe it was just primarily the weather then.
Yeah, I'm sure that has a
Because, I mean, it was
Negative
pouring
effect
the
on-
first.
Right. Yeah.
punctuality.
Yeah, it was miserable for at least an hour and a half.
Almost a traditional, fairly common tree
yeah,
giveaway
yeah.
day.
That might have been, well, I mean, there were some kind of snowy, colder tree giveaways, but this one might have been the worst weather yet, so. It was very windy and very rainy.
Okay.
It was hard to keep the list dry.
I should have plasticized it.
Shall we move on to item C, Emerald Ash Borer?
Yeah. Okay, and I haven't had time to give you definite numbers on all this, but we are into this EAB grant program now. I sent my crew out this winter to get a good start on inventory, and then we started removal, and then from that inventory list, they found the trees that they weren't comfortable removing, power lines, not the proper equipment to deal with them, that kind of thing. We generated a contractor list from that. I think the contractor list was roughly 30 trees. That I didn't get that to council in time to to get that approved, to send to the contractor to remove them before our EAB window closed this spring. So the contractor will start removing that list this fall. Camco Tree got the removal contract for that, and they are a local company in Oakdale. And Haven Stump Removal got the stump removal contract. Everything we cut down, the stump, nope, I take that back. We cut trees down after I generated the first stump removal list that went to council, so not all of them are ground yet. Those will be ground here after I finish that list and get it to them. We can grind those stumps in the summer still. I just haven't gotten him that new list yet. We cut down, well, overall, close to 100 trees, but I didn't put them all in the grant program. There was a lot of scrub ash on, for instance, the Sunborough neighborhood, in the road right-of-way in the Sunborough neighborhood. I have specific requirements through the DNR grant to plant tree for tree, certain size, and I bought a lot of smaller, cheaper trees to replant in those areas. So I have a lot of 3-foot bare root trees to plant in that area. We took a lot of small trees down. There's a lot of trees in that area. We're not hurting the canopy cover there. These were all edge trees that were tiny, and so I didn't put those in the grant. But overall, grant trees this spring, we probably removed close to 50, I think. And then there's the 30 for the contractor that they'll do in this fall. Overall, there's like 350 trees, boulevard trees left that we'll be removing before the end of next June to try to get them into the grant. But this year gave me a good idea of how much my crew can remove and what I'm gonna have to send out to the contractor to get them all done. So I haven't exactly figured out if we can get it all done for the 100 grand that the DNR is gonna give us, but we'll be close, and if we don't get them all done, then my crew will cut them the next winter, so.
Okay, I do have a question, a little bit off removal, but it's on the treatment program that I know the city has. What are the requirements to get on that? And I know I intended to, but forgot to, so maybe a reminder as to where we can go to, as citizens, to get into the treatment program for our own trees.
So all you have to do is be an Oakdale resident, and I'm not gonna get the exact cost correct, but I'm gonna be very close. I think it's $6.70 per diameter inch at breast height. So that's the diameter of the tree at 4.5 feet above the ground times $6.70 is what it will cost to treat an ash tree for emerald ash borer through Rainbow Tree Care, which we have an agreement with them. We use them to treat our boulevard ash trees that we're treating, so they will give our residents a discount, and it's the cheapest out there that I have found. I always encourage residents to get at least 3 estimates. We have Oakdale requires tree contractors to be licensed in Oakdale to do work in Oakdale, and we have a list on our website. There's about 20 of them. Just go through that list and get some estimates. Rainbow Tree Care's on there as well. Yeah, all you have to do, we have a link on our website from the forestry page, the Rainbow Tree Care site, or you can just call Rainbow Tree Care and tell them you're an Oakdale resident wanting the Oakdale discount. So.
What's the window of opportunity to have that done?
Well, it needs to be done now because your tree may already be too far gone to treat. The amount of emerald ash borer activity I see in the city now is increasing rapidly, and we have emerald ash borer throughout the whole city. If you see a tree declining in your yard, it's a good chance that emerald ash borer is the reason why. On a deciduous tree, conifers are a different story, but if it's a deciduous tree, there's a good chance it's emerald ash borer that's making it in decline.
Thank you.
And you're free to call me and I'll come out and look at it.
Any other questions?
It takes me some time to get to your house these days because I'm so busy, but I will try my hardest to get out and look at it in a hurry.
Mr. Chair, just a comment. I'm really starting to see the emerald ash borer hit this summer versus other summers. On Helmo Avenue, there's a company called Pace. Their campus has ash all around the parking lot, and every tree, I think, must be 8, 9 trees totally dead. It's really a shame. Now they basically have a nice building, big parking lot, not one tree on the site. It's all wiped out. They looked like ash to me, and I'm assuming, but. Anyway.
Yeah, those are ash.
Anyone else? Then I would suggest we move on to new business, item 8, the 2022 Fall Buckthorn removal scheduling.
Okay, so there is an overhead that we can look at. That's kind of the area that I'm thinking of working in. That is one area in Oakdale Park where there is still some very large mature buckthorn. I'm open to going back to where we've previously removed buckthorn and get some of the regrowth out. But I would like to work on these seed sources, which is the big mature buckthorn. And that's at the very north end of the park. It looks like maybe that Boardwalk Peninsula is there at the bottom center of that picture, but that's not the Boardwalk Peninsula. The Boardwalk Peninsula is west of there. It's just it's a little bit inaccessible. People don't go there, but it is a seed source for the rest of the park. And that's why I'd like to start working there. Those other 2 smaller remote sites are right on Hadley Avenue, and there's just some really nice mature oaks in there that I'd like to save, and removing the buckthorn is going to help that. Buckthorn's hard on oak trees, changes the ecology, takes all the moisture away, especially with drought like last year. It stresses the oak trees out. 2-line chestnut borer comes in and starts attacking them, and they decline. It's a long, slow death, but the sooner we can get the buckthorn out, the better. So that's my suggestions for next year. There's that one private house there. I've already contacted them if we could access the site through his driveway, which his driveway is actually a road right of way, so we don't have to get permission, but he said, no problem, I'm happy to have you out. So, and Rain Tree is the townhome situation just north of there. I haven't contacted them yet, but there's plenty of access through them as well, and once I contact them, I don't think we'll have any trouble if we need to walk through their property either. So parking is a bit of an issue, so I think we'll have to park at the Discovery Center and walk. It's a fairly good hike. But yeah, so, and then we'd walk back to the pavilion at the park again for lunch, so. The timing is the other thing. So typically it's, well, in 2017, I think it was on the 15th, and the 18, it was on the 14th, and then 19, it was on the 13th of October. All those are Octobers. So middle of month of October is generally where we have it, and which means this year, the 15th is actually the 3rd Saturday in October. The 1st is a Saturday, the 8th is a Saturday, the 15th is a Saturday, and the 22nd is a Saturday. I'm kind of shooting for October 15th. I don't know if you have any suggestions. Availability, that kind of thing. And it's kind of going to depend. I won't be able to talk to the schools until school starts up again. And it'll kind of depend. I'm going to present it to them too. You know, when's the best date for volunteers? But I would, you know, if you guys have any conflicts, if you want to be there and you have conflicts, we can certainly try to schedule so whoever wants to be there can be there. So let me know if you have days you would prefer, and that way I can kind of direct when I talk to the schools too, preferred dates.
Thank you. Any questions? Stan?
Maybe a comment, October 15th sounds good to me. I think the later into October, then the buckthorn that keeps their green leaves became more apparent, and it's easier to walk through the woods when the other plants drop their leaves. But maybe, Lauren, if we tentatively have that, and you could check with the schools, just to make sure they don't have some significant event that would preclude us from getting a lot of student volunteers before we lock in.
I just looked it up, and MEA convention is October 20th. And usually, typically, they have Thursday, Friday off. So a lot of people go out of town.
Right, so we don't want it on the 22nd then.
Correct.
Yeah.
Any others? Then we move on to new business, the 2022, the 2023 spring planting site location discussion.
Now, I don't have anything that really has to get done. My suggestions are we continue. There's a couple of areas in Oakdale Park here that are pretty bare. There's a memorial oak tree that we moved from the Veterans Memorial over by the band shell. That is a raised rock bed that's mulched in an oak tree with nothing underneath it. I was thinking we could make a nice native planting under that. And there's another raised rock garden planting bed over there as well that is a little thin. I thought maybe we could redo that into some kind of native planting. But I am open to anywhere. If anybody has any suggestions where they want to have it, anything you think needs to get redone. I'd prefer to redo something rather than add something because we just don't have the staff to maintain everything. And my goal for, well, other than I love native gardens and I think they're better for the environment, we can plant them to over time reduce the maintenance on them, which is very helpful for my staff, so.
Thank you. Any questions or redirect? Seeing none. Lauren, the next part is communications and miscellaneous items from you.
I just had one thing I wanted to bring up, and Mike Bender is actually sitting in on the meeting today. He has put in an application for potential tree board membership. I have to interview him, make sure that he's eligible before I present it to city council. So we're working on getting that interview done. He seems like he's more than qualified. I think he'd be a good addition. I just haven't had a sit down with him yet, but that's coming soon. So just wanted to let everybody know about that.
And the next would be next meeting agenda items. Unless anyone else has miscellaneous items to bring up. Seeing none, next meeting.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't have anything right now that I have in my head that needs to get talked about, but I will by the time the next meeting comes around. So if you guys don't have anything you want on there, it'll be from me.
We'll probably get a little clearer thing on the fall buckthorn removal by then.
Right, yep. I'll put that on there right now. Our next meeting is in September, so school will have started and I'll have talked to the school by then, so should have some feedback, yep.
Anyone else have new agenda items to suggest to Lauren? Seeing none, if there's any objection, we can move to adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Anyone, all in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you and good night.
Gotta run. Nice seeing everyone.
Thanks, Dan.
Hi, Stan.
Thanks, Ann.